I'll start with a confession, and that is that I am not qualified to speak on the topic of having an egoless life because I have not become egoless yet. And I really appreciated your telling the original Greek meaning of the word ego, because I think that is the sense that Baba uses when he talks about ego and being egolessness. It is about the sense of self or your awareness of yourself. But of course, in the Western world, and even in one of the things that Brahma Baba said at the end, we have to become incorporeal, viceless, and egoless, right? In one translation I saw for the Hindi word, it says incorporeal means formless, but we know that Baba is a point. So, but this idea of being without a sense of self, but having a very pure sense of self is what we're aiming for. And so, because I'm not qualified to speak on this subject, having not achieved the egoless stage yet, I took it as an opportunity to research the subject and to see what more I could implement in my life to become egoless. And that's what I'm sharing with you today. So, as I said, this idea of ego is about the awareness of who you are and your sense of self. When we are body conscious, our sense of self is based on the roles we play, or our achievements, or our memories, or our um, possessions or status, all those kinds of things when we're body conscious. And one of the attributes of that kind of ego body consciousness is that we make a lot of comparisons with others. And we spend our lives building up that sense of self through education or through a career pathway, and defending it, and getting into all kinds of bodily identifications. And so Baba wants us to change our identity. He does not want us to identify as a bodily being anymore. He wants us to shift our identity to being an incorporeal soul. So I'm going to read a few passages that I took out of the Murlis for what Baba says about this, because they were kind of eye-openers for me. So in March 25th, 1993, Bapdada said, "Your original form is incorporeal, is it not? Or is it that of a bodily being? The support of the body has been taken. But who has taken the support? You, the incorporeal soul, have taken the support of the corporeal body." So what's original, the soul or the body? And I've heard Baba talk about these terms many times in the Murlis, incorporeal and egoless, and the bodiless stage. And when Baba would talk about them, I would practice being bodiless for as long as I could think of it, maybe for one day or a week or something. But then, you get caught back up in things and that practice slips away. But today was the first time I connected it with taking the support of the body. I always just tried to visualize myself as a point of light, um, instead of the body, or maybe operating through the body. But I never thought of it so much as taking the support of the body. And that has made it a little bit easier to remember to practice being soul conscious, or to practice having that sense of self, that I am the being taking the support of the body when I'm speaking to you. So, of course, most people in the world, worldly people, think of ego as a kind of arrogance. But we also know there's two sides of that coin, right? And one side is arrogance, and the other side is inferiority. And I think many of us have struggled with both sides of those coins. Baba doesn't talk about the inferiority so much, but if you listen to some Murlis, like yesterday when Baba's talking about Dharmraj and how some souls are like this and that, people with the inferiority complex and gyan, they take that part to heart, and they say, oh, he's talking about me, I must not be going to make it. And they go into those kind of feelings of inferiority, which is all still ego, in that that is your sense of self. You don't feel you're good enough. You feel like Baba maybe made a mistake when he chose you. um, and that's opposite the side of like, I'm great, Baba's made me his jewel, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. This is the other side of ego, both of which are ego in the wrong way, and they're not the accurate sense of self. And they're both a kind of body consciousness, because as I was saying earlier, we spend a lot of our time when we're body conscious trying to put things together in the worldly sense, our status, our position in employment, or even one time Ken came to Vancouver when I was there, excuse me, and he did this wonderful presentation where he used a flip chart, and he drew the picture of this brother in an axis, and the axis was, I think, per, possessions and abilities, or something like that. It was two sides of a chart of body consciousness. And then he flipped it over. He drew the same picture again, but this time he put a badge on the brother. And his point was that when we become a big BK, the only thing that changes is that we change our badge, our dress, and our label. We call ourselves a BK, but we still have those same axes by which we're identifying ourselves, by our possessions and by our positions. So our sense of self really needs to become aligned with the incorporeal fact that we are souls. And the thing is that when we're on either sides of that coin, the inferior side or the superior side, the arrogant side or the, you know, inferior side, then what happens is we experience sorrow. And Baba has come to remove our sorrow. And the key to that is to removing our ego. Am I speaking too fast? Is it okay?
I think it's okay. I don't see any complaints from the translators.
Okay. So, for example, if you do something and nobody acknowledges it, then you feel hurt. Or you find yourself in an argument and you have to be right, right? Or you compare yourself. Oh, she's a teacher, she gives classes, and I'm not doing any of that. I just get to clean the center and, wash the dishes or something. And so you compare yourself, and all of that gives you grief. It actually, the constant comparison is what makes you insecure. And then if you are attached to how something goes, to the outcomes of something, like you're doing a project or whatever, and you have attachment to the way it turns out, then you're going to experience anxiety, which is also a form of sorrow. And even if you really rely on other people saying that, oh, you did great, it was wonderful, that's a kind of dependency on others, then. You can't feel good about what you did just by yourself. You need somebody else to reassure you. So you're forming a dependency. And then if you can't handle criticism, then how are you really going to improve yourself? Because a lot of us have blind spots. We don't see our defects or how we come across to others. And so, unless somebody calls it to our attention, and if we can't handle that, then how are we going to change? So, the wonderful thing about the drama is that it's perfectly um, choreographed to make sure that we're going to have to confront all of these false kinds of ego that show our body conscious ego, whether it's the inferior side or the feeling of arrogance. Um, we're going to run into those situations. I can tell you a couple of stories about that. Um, at one point, I was in Canada for about 8 years. And while I was there, I was actually one of the NCs in Canada, along with Brother Eric Larest. And I was on the west side and he was on the east side. And then when I came back to the US, I was told, well, you're not going to be an NC anymore because there's already so many of them here in the US. And luckily, I have the fortune of not really caring about roles and positions in the yeah. I said, okay, fine, no problem. So then they had this NC retreat in Peace Village, and they were asking for Savadaris. So I thought, well, I'll go and be a Savadari. They're all my friends. So at least I'll get to see them and be with them, and I'll just go as a Savadari. So I go there as a Savadari. And they had two serving lines in the dining hall, one for NCs and the other for Savadaris. So I'm in the Savadari line, and all my former NC friends are like, what are you doing in that line? And I just tried to make it into a joke. But other people who kind of knew the situation were like, oh boy, I don't think I could handle that. But it was okay. I wasn't in a big thing about it. But then finally the last night came and Daddy Janki was there for that retreat. Maybe some of you were there. And so there was going to be this big celebration and stuff, and everybody got a little chitty, a little note piece of paper that said, please, come to the dining hall and stuff and get your dinner. But I didn't get it a little chitty. Apparently, I was the only one who didn't get it. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So I go and I get my tray and stuff, and I go and I sit down in the staff dining room to eat my dinner. And Sister Chandru, who was there then, she was my Didi from San Francisco. She comes through and she looks at me. I'm sitting there by myself in the staff dining room, and she goes, Karen Ben, it's come to this. Oh, what does it come to? I didn't even understand what was happening, right? And then I could hear that they were starting this big celebration outside and they were going to cut a cake and do all this stuff. And I'm sitting there, I'm going, Baba, what's all this about anyway, you know? And then I thought, I'm your child and I deserve as much to be out there as anybody else. So I'm going out there. And of course, nobody even noticed that I was there or not there because they were all busy having fun with Dottie and so forth. But I really took that whole experience as drama, giving me a perfect example of the kinds of things you can encounter that test whether you how much ego you have, right? At least I didn't take any sorrow from it. And it caused me some confusion for a while, but I think every one of us gets these kinds of opportunities to that test our resolve and our ability to move forward. I mean, I could see where some other people would have just been devastated by that, but luckily I was not. And that's why I'm still here. So don't be devastated by anything that happens to you in the drama. You're Baba's child. You're one out of multi-millions. You wouldn't even be here if you didn't recognize Baba and understand God. And so I'm just telling you from my own experience, it's okay, it will pass, and you'll be just fine. Anyway,
Kiran,
becoming
just
incorporeal. Yeah, go ahead.
interrupt you. They are asking to speak a little bit
Slower.
slow.
Okay. Okay. So becoming incorporeal or egoless does not mean becoming passive or weak or invisible, even if you're treated like you're invisible sometimes. It means living without the need to prove yourself or elevate yourself or prove that you're someone, right? And what makes this difference is that you have self respect. So, in that situation, I had enough self respect by that time of being Baba's child and being part of the yajna to just feel okay, I had a right to be with everybody else. So, what then would be the egoless life? Because it's not about losing your identity, it's about shifting your identity. So, some characteristics of an egoless person, and these are aims and objectives that we're working towards, you can act without needing recognition or validation. You can just do something, and whether anybody notices it or not, it's fine. You knew it was the right thing to do. You were supposed to do it. It was according to Srimat, and you did it. Fine. End of story. And you can listen to criticism or suggestions without getting defensive. Um, and you can accept things too, the things that Baba says or that seniors say without resisting, because sometimes we want to push back against things. And of course, the whole thing of responding rather than reacting is part of being egoless. There have been worldly people. I Googled who are the who in the world are famous and known as being humble or egoless, and two names kept coming up. One was Nelson Mandela, and the other was Mahatma Gandhi. But of course, they would not have had the knowledge of the soul. So they would not, their egolessness was not based on practicing being incorporeal the way Baba wants us to do. He wants us to really shift our identity away from anything to do with the body and become incorporeal and egoless. So Baba has given in the Murlis I looked at some interesting things to practice in order to become egoless. He said, practice whenever the word I is used, bring the original form in front of you. Who am I? Should it be the soul? Or should it be, I'm such and such a person? You give gyan to others and you say to them that the word I makes you fly, but that same word I can make you fall or fail. If, when you say the word I, your original incorporeal form is remembered and it becomes natural, then you've implemented the first lesson. So instill this habit. Because when you actually do become egoless, Baba says, you will not wish to come down from the subtle and incorporeal stage. So again, it's very connected to this sense of self, of being subtle and incorporeal. So that's the sense of self I need to have. I'm subtle, I'm incorporeal. When I say I'm taking the support of the body. As soon as you think Baba says, the incorporeal form should enter your awareness. So, how many times do you say, I said this, I will do this, I think this? You use this word I many times. So, this is the easy way to become incorporeal and subtle. Whenever you use the word I, your incorporeal and subtle form, your original form, should instantly come in front of you. So, is that difficult or easy? And if you do that, Baba says, then your qualifications will become equal to your aim. So Sunday, Baba was talking about qualifications and aim. And so just this practice of I giving you the awareness that, oh yeah, I'm the soul, I'm the incorporeal, subtle being, taking the support of the body, that's going to make your qualifications equal to your aim. Simply adopt this easy method of becoming egoless and see. He does make things so easy for us, but we have to implement it. We have to make that effort. We have to apply it. So I'm very happy about these 3 months of tapasya that are coming. And I've kind of making a commitment to myself that I'm going to use this. I'm going to try to do Mondays in silence and observe all the different times for yoga in the timetable because I've gotten a bit slack in observing all of them accurately. So I'm going to try to pull myself together for these 3 months, and I want to practice these points that I'm sharing with you today. So Baba says that I of the arrogance of the body should finish. It is the word I that brings you into the arrogance of the body. But if you bring into your awareness the form of I, the incorporeal soul, then this I will take you beyond the arrogance of the body. Baba says throughout the day, you probably use the word I 25 to 30 times. I think that's a fairly conservative estimate. You may not say it, but you probably think it. I'll do this, I'll do that. Even as you make plans, what do you think? So when you have practiced doing something so many times, if you practice, I, the incorporeal soul, will do this and I will do that, then what will happen to the awareness of the form of the soul? It will make you incorporeal. Become incorporeal. Become a subtle angel. Carry out your task and then become incorporeal once again. So Baba says, practice. I, the incorporeal soul, am speaking with the support of the corporeal. Even in the corporeal form, let there be the incorporeal form in your awareness. This is known as speaking and acting while being corporeal and incorporeal. Two things at once. Your original form is incorporeal, and the corporeal is your support. And this double awareness of incorporeal and corporeal is a powerful stage. So keep your real incorporeal form in your awareness, and the real virtues and powers of that form will automatically emerge. And then another aspect that Baba was taking up in this whole subject of ego and becoming incorporeal, Baba said, come into relationships with the relationship of karma. Don't bring bondage in a relationship. In other words, to have the arrogance of the body means to come into the bondage of karma. So I'm thinking, what is he talking about? To come into a relationship with the body means to have a relationship of karma. And there's a difference. There's a difference between taking the support of the body and being under the influence of the body. So earlier, I mentioned a few points about how body conscious ego creates suffering. And I mentioned that constant comparison with others is what makes you insecure. And if you're attached to how things are going to turn out, then you get anxiety, you have to worry, right? Or how the need for approval or validation or recognition is what makes you dependent. And lastly, how if you can't handle criticism, you are not going to ever improve yourself. Those are the bondages of karma that Baba's talking about, I think. And so if you come into action or relationship with others based on the I-ness of being the incorporeal soul, taking the support of the body, talking to another incorporeal soul who's taking the support of their body, then you don't get into those dynamics. You don't get into comparing. You don't get into needing approval, any of those things. right? It's clean. And so um, you don't get into bondage. You have a relationship with karma because you're still doing things, but you don't get into that bondage. Now, I'd like you to all just do a little mental exercise for a second. Recall a recent conflict that you might have had with someone. Could be something really small, right? Just just see if you can come up with something that you where you were in conflict with someone. Um, and see if you can see how any of it was part of it was your ego getting involved or feeling slighted or feeling like you had the right answer. Any of those kind of dynamics. Just observe and then see if you can replay the conflict or this circumstance with how it would be different if you had been in the awareness of I, the incorporeal soul, taking the support of this corporeal body, um, trying to figure something out with this other incorporeal soul, and see if you can see how it would be different. There's some other yuktis that Baba has given that can help us, which I just mentioned a few of them. One, he said, the awareness of being a master as well as a child constantly gives you the experience of the egoless and incorporeal stage. So I'm a soul, but I'm also a child of the Supreme Soul, right? And as a child of the Supreme Soul, I'm not only a child, but I'm also master, right? And so I'm the one who can control myself. I'm the one who can decide to be in this state of awareness of being the incorporeal soul, taking the support of the body. I'm not, it's not dependent on circumstances. It's not dependent on how other people treat me. It's my choice, and I can choose it at any moment to be the child of God or the master of the self. And so either one of those um, stages gives you the experience of being egoless in the body conscious sense, and incorporeal. And then another helpful hint is to think of yourself as being an instrument, because the three specialties of being incorporeal, viceless, and egoless, Baba says they automatically come from being an instrument. So when there isn't the feeling of being an instrument and you mix in the I and minus into service, then service doesn't increase. So remember the expression, I'm an instrument. Baba says, only by being an instrument can you remain in the stage of being incorporeal, egoless, humble, and free from any other thoughts. When you constantly say, there's arrogance, wilting, and sadness. And then the end result is, while moving along, you die even though you're alive. So always think of yourself as an instrument. By being an instrument, no type of arrogance will ever arise in you, Baba says. What a good key that is, right? And you won't even get caught in the spinning of any difference of opinions. I'm an instrument. What does Baba want to get done here? And, whatever part is needed, I'll play it because I'm an instrument. Third point is about humility. And the Avyak signals have been about humility for several days now, including today. Humility easily makes you egoless. And the seed of humility automatically enables you to attain the fruit of greatness. It's the easy method for claiming blessings from the heart of everyone. The special sign of becoming egoless is humility. So there's humility in your attitude, in your drishti, in your words, and also humility in your connections and relationships. So you probably are aware of that cycle that has the rhyming Hindi words, smriti, which is awareness, and your awareness of who you are gives you your vritti, your attitude towards things, how you look at things. And then your vritti transfers into your drishti, how you actually see things. Your drishti goes into your kriti, how you do things and how you treat other people. And all of those four things, smriti, vritti, drishti, and kriti, come to the shrishti, which is the end result of what you create in the world. So that's what Baba is saying here, is that this when there's humility in your attitude, well, first of all, your awareness that you're a soul, an incorporeal, egoless soul, that's your smriti. And that brings humility in your attitude, your vritti, and that brings it into your drishti, and that brings it into your kriti, your words, and your connections and relationships. Whatever is in your attitude, your drishti is going to be accordingly. And whatever's in your drishti, your words are going to be according to that. And then whatever are your words, so that will also be in your relationships and connections. There has to be humility in all four. If there's humility in three and not in one, then there's a margin for allowing arrogance. And finally, we have Baba's own example to inspire us to live an egoless life. Baba himself is so egoless. He says, I'm your obedient servant. And just look at this. He is the supreme soul, right? He has the shortest part to play in the whole drama. And he plays his part in an incognito way so that nobody hardly recognizes him. And then he gets forgotten for the next half of the cycle and defamed and mischaracterized for the second half of the cycle. He is so egoless, right? So whenever you're being ignored or not recognized or whatever, just bring Baba in front of you and see how it doesn't faze him at all. He knows, because he knows who he is. And we also know who we are. We are Baba's children, and we are ones out of multi-millions. We are ancestor souls. We are the trunk of the Kalpa tree. And we are the ones who are going to bring about the transformation of this world by practicing this very easy practice that Baba has given us of becoming incorporeal, viceless, and egoless. Om Shanti.
Shanti, thank you so much. I really like that you used Baba's words. We read those words every day. We know these things, but why don't we
But,
put it? But why don't we put it in practice?
hmm,
That's a point that, yeah, actually, we had some situation in my country, and we were trying, a group of us, to create something, and we proceeded into it with a very, I mean, human way of thinking and not as souls. And this took us weeks in order to find a solution, and then the solution couldn't come. But then we had an Amrit Vela all together, and the solution came immediately. So sometimes
wonderful.
we have to go through the difficulties in order to realize what to do.
Yes, that's
So
why drama is so perfect.
exactly. And also, I liked what you shared about being humble, and really humility is a very important virtue. And sometimes we get involved in situations, and as you said, we want to get approval from the others to recognize us, and this creates a lot of pain actually to the self. So yeah,
Yes,
Baba, Baba's words are the best, so we have to follow his words.
right.
So I don't see any questions.
Okay.
I probably they will come later. This always happens; they come later. Um, so can you tell us about our yagya? Because our yagya
Okay.
is really a great project, and being having access to that is very important for all of us. So can you say a few things about it?
Okay. Well, the whole idea was that we felt that, there used to be the website called One Link, but it was not very well maintained by the tech support people. And we tried the best we could to maintain it without the tech support, but it just wasn't working. We're running a little bit into the same problem with our Yagya because the tech team that's behind it, the London tech team there, they have several websites they're looking after. Have you heard about the Lighthouse? Some of you,
Yes.
that was launched a couple of years ago and then it went kind of defunct for a couple of years, but now it's going to be relaunched. And that's for the seeking public. And it's supposed to showcase the best of what we have to offer in terms of content and videos of meditation and insights and cooking videos and also articles and other things. But it's just the creme de la creme. And finally, it's going to be relaunched again. But that's not for the public. And so we wanted something for the BK family. And there's some sites out there that are trying to be BK sites for everybody. There's one called DR Luhar and there's one called shivbaba.org. But those sites are not recognized by the Yagya as being official. They have, in some cases, have some wrong content on them that's not even good Gyani content. Um, so we wanted to have something that's, really approved by the Yagya that you can have faith in, that BKs can go to and have confidence that the material there is okay, right? And so that's where the idea of our yajna came along. And we're slowly adding more content to it. We're supposed to be um, adding a whole section of emergency preparedness. We're trying to get the reading corner with the ebooks up and running, and there's a Baba's Kitchen section on that too, which will have lots of cooking videos and downloadable recipes and things like that. But it's been very slow going because, as I said, the London Tech team is doing that. It's doing the Lighthouse. It's doing the UN webs. No, not the UN. It's doing the UK website and the international website. So we're trying to get our stuff through that little narrow bottleneck, but it's taking some time. So, but we're still increasing things. And if any one of you have centers where you want events put up there, and you have someone that we could train to do it, it's not very difficult technically to do it. Um, we can show you how to do it, and then you'll get your events posted on there. And we can even show you how to post your service news on there. And then that will be out of the bottleneck, and you'll be able to put it up there. So just let me know if you have anybody who can do that. Like they should know that this weekly series goes on, right? When it's at the moment we don't have that. Um, if you could post these little, we could post these little flyers up as events online. You might have a lot bigger number of people joining. So, because it does list everything in your own local time zone. So you can go there and see anything in the world that's happening to be going on in your time zone, you can tune into. And if you
Thank
have suggestions, if you want to put content up there in Greek or Turkish, we can do that.
Okay, thank you. Uh, so still we don't have any questions. Uh,
That's probably a
Probably,
good sign.
yeah, because everybody I think is thinking about what you said, what you shared, and what Baba says. So it's really we need some probably some time to be in silence and think about Baba's knowledge. What are your personal experiences in putting in practice all those things? Because all of us, well, we have good intentions and we want to do this effort, but do you have any tips that we can follow in order to put in practice Baba's knowledge?
Well, Baba's knowledge is an ocean, and there's a million things you could try to practice, right? And even writing a chart, like you can go from 4 questions to 50, right? When you're writing a chart. So, what you need to do is just pick something. It doesn't even matter what it is, but pick something that you're resonating with. So, I resonated with this whole thing of the egoless life. And so, I'm planning to practice as I'm even talking to you. I'm trying to practice it as I was talking to you through this whole talk. I was trying to practice being the incorporeal soul taking support of the body while I was sharing these things. And I'm planning to, and so what I think it needs is determination, right? I have to say, this is my determination. I'm going to do this. And so for this 3 month program that's coming on, that's another thing I was going to be determined to do. Um, not just Amrit Vela, but making sure I'm keeping to the traffic controls. I'm keeping to the evening class meditation timings. I'm doing Sunday Bhakti, open the center for people who want to come in and meditate all during the day. And having not just the evening Bhakti at night, which is how we've been doing it, or the morning class. Um, and observing Mondays as a day of silence. Those are the things I'm determined that I'm going to implement for the next 3 months, right? And that's all. I'm going to focus on those things, and I'm going to see where it gets me, because I really feel that I need to do something.